Welcome back. Today, as part of my daily chess development, I've decided to do some mate in 1 puzzles, and then some mate in 2 puzzles, and then some mate in 3 puzzles. And the reason is because in several recent games, I missed some checkmating sequences. Most often that happens when I'm winning, and I go ahead and win anyway, but I do it the long way around. And I figured that it never hurts to brush up on the skill of spotting checkmates and, finding them during the game under pressure. So I've pulled up the puzzle themes section here on Lichess, which you get to by going to Puzzles, Puzzle Themes. Or in my case, I went to Puzzle Dashboard and then clicked Puzzle Themes over in the left column. There are a ton of tagged themes here for different puzzles. I'm going to scroll down to the checkmating area, which is right here. There's mate in 1, mate in 2, mate in 3. I assume, based on previous experience, that the mates in 1s will be relatively easy, and then we'll get a little bit harder with the 2s and 3s. I don't know that I've ever tried mates in 4s or mates in 5s, but if this doesn't take too long, maybe I will do that as well. For our first puzzle, I'm playing with the white pieces. Looks like my checkmate here is just rook to f7 because my other rook is cutting off this and my knights are cutting off these. So I think it's that. Has that green check mark changed? I don't remember it being quite that shape or color. And yes, I'm very often distracted by little changes in the design or the look and feel of a site. Let's go to the next one. I think the mate in 1 is just moving my queen up to g1 because it's protected by my bishop. All right, next. Well, I'm playing with the white pieces and their king is right there. Let's see, my knight is protected and it's guarding that square. Oh, this one took me too long. The knight's also guarding that square, so I believe that it's going to be queen to e8. Yes, I should have seen that sooner. Okay, next. I think this one's going to be bringing the queen back to a, whatever that is, a5, because my pawn's cutting that off, and then my queen will be hitting across here. See, that's 4. Next. This is just coming over 1 because of where my bishop is. Next. Playing with the black pieces. Okay, I think this one's going to be bringing the knight back to d4 because my king is guarding these 2 squares and my queen's cutting off all of these. So I just need to check the king. And of course, from d4, not only will I be checking the king, but I'll also be covering the square that I just came from. So that should be checkmate. Next. Let's see. No, that's not checkmate because of where their knight is. Their knight would just capture that. But that my knight is cutting off these squares and my rook's cutting off those. So I think putting the bishop over here on b4 will be checkmate. And also my knight's protected by the pawn. How many is that? 7? Okay, next. Where are my pieces? Let's see. I am playing with white. Okay. Is that going to be checkmate down there? I think, yeah, moving down there where my knight protects it and my knight's guarded by the rook. My queen will be cutting off all of this, so checkmate. Nice. That's 8. Next. This one, I think it's sliding the queen up to d5, but I just want to check. My pawn's guarding that. My queen will be guarding the pawn and everything else, so that should be checkmate. They can't block that. And if I'm counting right, that's 9. Next. Playing with the black pieces. Wait, I had one like this the other day when I was doing puzzles on chess.com and I almost missed it because it looks like you should go down here, but that lets the king out. You can also check with the knight, but if I check with the knight over here, they can take it. And if I check with the knight over here, they can just move left or right. And it was putting the rook right here in front of the knight where the king protects it and the knight's guarding the 2 getaway squares. Yeah, I probably would have spent a lot more time on that if I hadn't seen almost the exact same thing on chess.com just a few days ago. How can I check the king without giving up those 2 squares or any of these? Okay, and that's 10, so I'm going to go to mates in 2s. Okay, in this one, playing with the black pieces, and it does say that it's a mate in 2. I think this one is checking on the back rank, which forces the king to go up 1, and then I will come over to g1, and the king can't come out because my knight's guarding that square. Pretty sure. Check, and then here. Next. Playing with the white pieces, they have just attacked my knight, but I need to find their king. There is their king. Let's see, where can I check them? I can check them here, but then my rook's not defended anymore. Because right now that rook's defended, so that's probably not it. And it's not this because of their pawn. Well, what is it? And it's probably not trying to pin the knight because, again, then they take my rook. What about checking here with the knight? I assume they would come up with the rook to take it, but then this would be checkmate. Okay, so it's probably that one. Let's see, do they have any other recourse? They can't take the rook, they can't move the king. That's the thing, because of where my bishop is, they can't move the king up to d5. So I think here they would have to take with the rook. And then that means the pawn's not guarding this square anymore. And I bring the other rook, and that's mate. Okay. That took me a little bit, but that was also a little bit harder puzzle. Okay, next. And it does help a little bit to know that it's a mate in two. But I think the idea is to, number one, develop pattern recognition so you can kind of see some of these patterns in the games. And number two, to calculate. Not so much on the mates in ones when you know that, but on the mates in twos, look for checks. Like I have this safe check here, but the king just escapes up one, and then I don't have a safe check again because their knight's guarding that square. Okay, this took me quite a while, but I just started looking at all my legal moves. Like, what else can I do? And, I just started thinking about, does that accomplish anything? Does this accomplish anything? What can I possibly move to set up a mate? And eventually I got to this knight here, which covers both of those squares, so their king can't move. And they can't get to the knight immediately, and then this will be checkmate with my queen on the next turn. But let me think about that, because... No, wait, that's not mate in two. Wow, it is not a checkmate in two. Because if I put the knight there, they can check me, and I have to take it, either with the queen or the king, or get out of check. Right, okay, so not a mate in two, because again, they check me. And so my next move cannot be checkmating them because I'm in check. And if I take them, they're going to check me again. So maybe my first move does have to be a check then. Okay, well, let's go back. Let's go back to this queen to g1, which forces the king up one, and then I put the knight there. Because the king can't come up here due to the bishop, can't come over here due to the rook. Okay, wow, it took me a long time, but we got there. Once I realized they could check me in the meantime, that's when I realized my first move did have to be a check. All right, 3. Next. Okay, they've just moved over. I can check them again with the knight, but then they could take it, and then I don't have mate on the next turn. So it's not that check. What about this check? Can take that too. Actually, if I checked here, they could take this rook. I mean, what if I check with the rook? They take that, and I could check them, and then they would just get out of check. A couple of different ways. Okay. What about just moving the g rook to f2? Sorry, they're both g rooks, aren't they? What about moving this g2 rook to f2? Because then if they took me, then I would take here, and I think that's checkmate. But they don't have to take me. They could just move it over. Okay, again, this one took me far too long to spot, but it's checking on g1, I'm pretty sure. Because it accomplishes what I wanted to accomplish by moving to f2, but on f2 they don't have to take. But here they do have to take with the rook, and then this is checkmate, knight to f2, pretty sure. Because the king can't move. Wow, okay, so a couple of these are kind of tough. And these are only rated 1800 and something. Next. All right, it appears they have attacked my queen, but I know that I have a mate in two. In a game, I would not know that, right? So I would think that, I had lost it all. Let's see. What if I, come attack this bishop with check? They can take me, and I can check and save my rook, but I've already lost a queen. But then they can just get out of check, and I think they'll be okay. Certainly not mate in two. And but yeah, in a game, I would assume I was in trouble here because wherever I move my queen, they're going to get my rook for the bishop. But I do know about danger levels, and checking is a one way to get out of this. And I have remembered that in games sometimes. For example, I could move my knight over here to e6, so it's a double check. So they can't just, take the knight, right? Because the bishop and the knight are checking them. So they'd have to either move over to g8 or move over to e8. They also couldn't take the knight this way, again, because it's a double check. Bishop and knight both checking them if I play knight to e6. Okay, if I play there and they do just move over, then I could take their queen with check, but they would just take back, so that's not a mate in two. Anything else? Could check again over here, but then they just come back. So that's not a mate in two. So I don't think it's that. What if it's something else? What if it's putting the knight back here? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Knight to f5. It took me a little while, but if they go to the g file, then I think taking the bishop is checkmate. And if I check by moving the knight out of the way and they go to this file, to the e file, then I have mate here. I think that's it. Okay, they did go this way, so this is checkmate. All right, that one was 21 something. So yeah, these are definitely definitely harder than the mates in ones. And I've only got 5 of them. Okay, I may not get to the mates in threes at this rate. Next. Very briefly, I entertained the idea of putting the queen on h7, but that doesn't work because they just get out. I could check them with the pawn, but then they could take that with the rook or the knight or move over and they're fine. But I think it's a rook sacrifice because I had to look at all the checks. When I look at rook to h8, they can't get out of check. This way, they have to take the rook. And when they take the rook, then this is mate because my bishop is still defending. So check and mate. Saw that one a little faster. Just took me a second to find the words. All right, next. Black pieces. I think this one is also a sacrifice because if we look at the checks, there's the 2 knight checks, which I think they're both easily, it's easy to escape just by moving the king. Or over here, they could take with the pawn as well. I think it's a queen sacrifice. That's the only other check. When they take it, I just bring this rook down here, and they can't get out of check because my knight's guarding that square. So check and mate. That would be fantastic if I saw that in a game. But I'm pretty sure if I was in that exact position in a game, the one that the puzzle began with, I wouldn't find it. But that's one reason that I need to do these puzzles. And if I have time in a timed game, I need to teach myself to consider, would a queen sacrifice do any good here if it's a check? And in this case, it did. All right, that was 7. Next. Playing with the white pieces. I think this one's also a sacrifice. I think it's putting the queen here because the king can't come up because of this bishop. So when I check here, their only legal move is going to be to take with the rook, and then I'm going to capture with promotion. At first, before I started talking, I thought about doing it this way, but they have 2 pieces guarding that square. But they only have 1 piece guarding this square, so that has to be it. And then I'll promote to a rook or a queen, either way. Is it going to count me wrong if I do the wrong one? Because I'm pretty sure promoting to a rook is still checkmate. Oh, it counted that. Well, then surely it would have counted it had I promoted to a queen. I think that's one thing I like a little bit better about the puzzles here on Lichess than on some other sites. Because here, I'm pretty sure there were 2 moves that allowed checkmate. Promoting to a rook or promoting to a queen. And on the other site, the one that I usually use, if there are 2 or more moves that aren't significantly different in rating from each other, the puzzle won't continue. So, very good for this site for doing that. And I think that's 8. Next. They have attacked my queen. However, again, this is very similar to a puzzle that I had on another site the other day. Trying to remember what the answer was. Okay, but my queen isn't pinned because they're attacking my queen this way, and they can't take my queen if they're in check unless they're in check from the queen. So if I just move the knight someplace, well, they're going to capture my queen, right? But what if I move the knight to one of these 2 squares so it's a double check? They would not be able to capture the knight or the queen because they're in check from both of them. Let's see, if I come over here to F3, not only is it hitting the king, but it's also defending this square and my queen's cutting this off. And they can't block the check with the bishop or the knight because they're in check from both of my pieces. So they would have to move over. And then I'm pretty sure this is checkmate. It doesn't work if I go the other way because they can come up. I think it's knight to F3, double check, and then bringing the queen all the way down. Yes. Oh, okay, I feel good for finding that one. Let's do one more of these. And then I might have time for just a couple of mates and 3s. Okay, let's see. If I take the bishop with check, they only have 1 legal move, and then I have to go all the way to the corner for mate. This one seems really straightforward compared to those others. Am I missing something? I think that's it. That wasn't it. Oh, I missed one. It was this, because the king could get out if I went all the way to the corner. Oh, I missed the last one, and I lost 16 points. Look at that. I was getting 3 points, 5 points, 4 points, but I lost 16 for failing that one. Oh, very nice. As soon as I did it, I realized, oh, wait, they can just get out. Let's do one more then. Oh, I feel like I turned bright red after failing that puzzle, but maybe I was always red. I don't know what the color balance looks like on your end. I am playing with the white pieces. Let's see, my rook's protected. Wow, I don't know if you heard that, but my whole house just rumbled with somebody's woofers outside. It seems a little rude. Okay, what was I doing here? Okay, my rook's cutting off this, and if I move the knight, it's going to be cutting off here. So can I check them with the knight, like down this way? No, because then they get out, but then that's mate. Okay, I think it's knight to F3. Their only legal moves would be here and here, H5 and H6. And I think either way, putting my rook over on H4 is mate because my bishop would then be cutting off those squares. Pretty sure. Okay, well, I got 4 points back from that 16. And it looks like I do have time for 1 mate in 3 puzzle, maybe 2 if I get the first one quickly, which does not seem likely. I am playing with the black pieces. Oh, for a second there, I was trying to figure out how to checkmate the black king with these black rooks. That doesn't make sense. I need to checkmate the white king with the black rooks. Okay, well, I could check with this rook, but that's not mate in 2. Now, it would be if they just moved forward at that point, and then I would come over here and that would be checkmate. Think. But they don't have to just move forward. They can block with the rook, which I would then take. Oh wait, this is a mate in 3. Oh, I forgot. I got so used to the mates in 2s. Okay, I think here they either have to move forward and give me mate in 2 or block with the rook. When they block with the rook, I'll take. Then they have to move up here to h4. And then I think that's checkmate because my pawn's guarding the getaway square. Okay. They did block. And then I come over here. Hopefully that's it. Okay. That one felt simpler than some of the mates in 2s, but I probably won't be so lucky on the next one. All right, well, one thing I know here is that these pawns are knocking off all of those squares. And currently my knight is covering that one. Let's see. Okay, so where do they have to go if I check with f2? If I check, sorry, it's already on f2. If I play f3, I think their only legal move would be to go to h4. Then I check with g3, and they have to come down, but my h-pawn is then protected by the rook, and I checkmate over here with the knight. I think that's it. It's just f3, g3, and then knight to g5. Let's try it. All right, and I am officially out of time. I'm glad I found that one. As I said, these first 2 mates in 3s felt easier to me than some of those mates in 2s, but I doubt that would have been the case if I had kept going here. Also, again, it helps a lot to know that you have a checkmate. I'm going to try to remember to do this a little bit more often rather than every couple of months like I have been doing, because again, I've been missing some checkmating sequences in some of my games, usually in ones that I go on to win, but it would be nice to win in 40 moves instead of 50 moves, that kind of thing. Let me know what you're doing to get better at chess. I will appreciate it. And I appreciate you spending your time here, as always. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.